Everyone talks about artificial intelligence. Almost nobody asks, who controls it? We like to imagine AI as software, algorithms, models, code. But intelligence doesn't run on ideas. It runs on electricity, silicon, heat, and scheduling. And today, one company quietly controls how intelligence is physically produced. NVIDIA is not an AI company. NVIDIA is the operating system of intelligence. Most people think NVIDIA won because it had the best chips, better GPUs, faster performance. That's the surface story. The real story is simpler and more dangerous. NVIDIA controls the bottlenecks everyone else depends on. And bottlenecks are where power lives. TSMC manufactures the most advanced silicon on Earth. But manufacturing decides what exists, not who can use it. That decision belongs elsewhere. NVIDIA sits above the fabs, above the data centers, above the models. TSMC makes the chip. NVIDIA decides how the chip is used. And that distinction matters. CUDA isn't software. CUDA is lock-in disguised as convenience. Once developers learned CUDA, the ecosystem bent around it. We provide in-depth analysis like this every week. Subscribe to ensure you don't miss our upcoming reports. Frameworks optimized for it. Researchers depended on it. Enterprises standardized on it. Today, switching away from NVIDIA doesn't feel like changing hardware. It feels like breaking production itself. That's not product dominance. That's infrastructural dependence. There is a deeper layer most people miss. NVIDIA's real power is not that it builds faster chips. It's that it controls the pacing function of intelligence itself. Training speed, inference priority, deployment timing, update cycles, hardware availability. These are not technical details. They are scheduling decisions. And scheduling is power. When compute is abundant, scheduling is invisible. When compute is scarce, scheduling becomes governance. Who gets capacity today? Who waits until next quarter? Whose models scale? Whose products launch? Whose research quietly stalls? These questions are not answered by markets. They are answered by queues. And NVIDIA sits at the top of those queues. In IT, speed matters, but allocation matters more. Who gets GPUs first? Who waits? Who gets credits? Who gets support? NVIDIA doesn't just design silicon. It designs access. In a world where computation is scarce, access is leverage. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, OpenAI. They look powerful, but they all line up at the same door. They compete on models, they compete on data, they compete on branding. But they don't control the hardware cadence. They don't control the software stack. They don't control the compiler ecosystem. NVIDIA does. This isn't partnership. It's managed dependency. People debate GPU prices, margins, market caps. They're asking the wrong question. Prices matter when you have alternatives. NVIDIA's advantage is that price is secondary to availability. When intelligence becomes infrastructure, you don't negotiate costs. You secure supply. In theory, alternatives exist. Custom chips, in-house accelerators, national programs. In practice, they all collide with the same wall. You can copy silicon. You can't copy ecosystems. You need developers, documentation, tool chains, libraries, years of accumulated habit. NVIDIA didn't build hardware leadership. It built irreversibility. The future of AI isn't decided by who trains the smartest model. It's decided by who gets compute first, who scales smoothly, and who survives supply shocks. NVIDIA doesn't predict the future. It decides the order in which the future arrives. If NVIDIA pauses, AI pauses. Not metaphorically, literally. Training timelines stretch. Inference prices rise. Research slows. Deployment bottlenecks appear overnight. Not because software fails, but because hardware orchestration does. That's not innovation risk. That's systemic risk. Policymakers talk about models, ethics, regulation. But power isn't where headlines are. It's where control is operational. But regulate the algorithm, and the infrastructure waits you out. The real leverage point isn't AI policy. It's compute governance. And right now, compute governance has a name. Models evolve. NVIDIA synchronizes everything. That's not dominance. That's coordination power. This is not a video about GPS, and it isn't about AI hype. It's about a world that believes intelligence is abstract, while quietly handing its physical control layer to one system. NVIDIA is not the future of AI. NVIDIA is the governor on how fast the future can run. And in complex systems, governors matter more than engines. Subscribe, because the next chapter asks a harder question. What happens when energy, chips, and intelligence all converge on the same bottleneck?